The storm of adolescence is something to behold and endure, but it could be better than you think. At Crawford Clinics, we have Gracie Showers, who's absolutely amazing, and her passion for years has been helping young people, adolescents in particular, girls, figure out who they are, where do I fit in the world, what are all these questions and hormones and roles and dynamics of all of this happening. And so she is here to help us unpack what is going on for your adolescent, and as a parent, how can you support them? So thank you, Gracie, for being on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what have you seen? You've worked with girls for a long time. What is this identity crisis?
Yeah. Girls don't know who they should be, who they are, and there's so much pressure to feel like they have to fit in. They've got to mold to whoever they're around or whatever they're seeing around them, and so it's hard. They don't know who they should be.
Yeah. And what are some of the stories that you're hearing? Because every generation, it's been hard, right?
Sure.
Every generation, you're getting peer pressure and you're getting boys trying to get you to do such and such, and you're trying to fit in. But now we have social media. We have all of these layers to add in. What are some of the things that you were like, parents need to know this?
Sure. I mean, comparison is a tale as old as time, right?
But now it's magnified.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of social media and highlight reels on social media, people see the best and you compare it to the worst in yourself. And so that's an automatic, that's not level playing field right there. And yeah, so comparison, people are ultra critical of themselves, self-esteem, body image, so.
Yeah. And there's Facetune, the app and that's just one, but you can AI any photo. And so to think what it was like in my generation where we didn't have that, I already was comparing and critical and all that, like my body and all that. So to now imagine it's literally AI modified, and then you're looking at yourself going, I'm never going to live up to that. Right. Even though you can tell them that's AI modified, I still now have a visual cue of what I should look like or what other people do look like, and I'm constantly not measuring up.
Right.
What have you heard girls talking about?
Yeah, I have a client right now who says she looks at social media and she just feels so left out, and she feels drained. She was sharing the other day that she will spend days in bed after one social media post because her life doesn't compare.
Yeah.
And so it makes you question, well, man, what is the post? What goes into the post that she's looking at? Is it face-tuned? Is it actual real life? She probably thinks, that's a cute boyfriend that I don't have. That's a cute vacation that I haven't been on, right? And so it's not reality. Right. And you're comparing yourself to an unrealistic version of yourself or someone else. Right. And
or the likes that you're getting or not getting,
right? But
not actually hearing that in real life. And so craving it in an artificial world, but then still feeling empty. Like I can get all the likes and or also getting the bots and the critics and the mean posts. So the online bullying is also ridiculous. Like we've had clients that somebody will post, if I had thighs like that, I'd kill myself. Like really brutal, mean bullying online. And so how do we equip, how do we fortify? One, we have to know it's there, right? A lot of families are like, oh, is it really that bad? But it is. It's worse than what we're saying. And so on the second, like, what do we do to help? How do we inoculate girls to know who they are?
Right. I think that if I was speaking to parents, I would say parents should encourage their daughters, their teens, to have open conversation about how they're feeling about themselves, about their body, about their friends, about social media, right? Open conversation is so important. So I would encourage parents to ask questions because you don't know what you don't know if you don't ask.
If you don't ask.
So that would be the first step. And then I would say to teenagers to invite trusted people into your life and confide in them. I think as a teenager, I experience this a lot. It can feel like you're the only one that feels awkward or uncomfortable in your body, right? And so it just feels very isolating. But the reality of it is every person on the planet at one point or another has felt uncomfortable in their skin. And so if they just invite somebody in to say, this is how I'm feeling, I feel left out, I feel not enough, I feel inadequate, I don't feel like I measure up to this Instagram post or whatever it may be, you know, that's inviting trusted counsel in to speak life over you.
Yeah. So I think, one, the wisdom of saying, hey, this is an issue. Let's make sure we're having open conversation around it. And also, for a lot of families, we've seen after 10 p.m., the conversation can go dark. It can be grooming. It can be, what would you do if I send you this picture? What will you do if? And so a lot of that conversation, anything like after 9 p.m., we've seen it not go well. And so a lot of times that boundary can be very unpopular, but we've seen it place safeguards for when the child's brain, and adolescent is still a child, their brain can't actually say no dopamine. I want more, I want to know what they're doing. I want to know the message. I want to know if he likes me. I want to know who's checking my reels. That feels immediate gratification. It feels something amazing, but actually after a certain hour, it usually goes dark. And so having that boundary will make you unpopular. But man, the safeguard of having your child not groomed into something, not getting a DICK pic, which is very common right now. And I have middle school girls that their first DICK pic was when they were like 11, 12. And these older guys are acting like they're teens, right? Because online, you don't know who you're actually talking to.
Right.
And so they act like they're like this cute person. They put a little profile and they're not actually, right? That's that seducing the child into thinking I'm a friend, or I'm even like a same gender, like just a pal. And then they'll start sending them graphic things and say, what will you do if? And then once they send it, now they'll blackmail your child by saying, oh, if you tell anybody, really, I asked you and you know. So they'll twist it in this super manipulative way, and they don't know who they are. And it just described a role. And the fascinating thing is your adolescent is in the crisis of identity versus role confusion. And so now I'm slutty. Now I'm dumb. Now I'm bad or tainted, or they have this information on me. And so it's almost like they take on this role. And so having a conversation, especially when you're noticing behavior changes, more isolating, dark colors, taking the lights out of their room, like closing the blinds, think of that as external communication for what's happening internally to your adolescent. What have you seen with these kinds of dynamics?
Yeah, I think that it can feel so scary when a person that you thought was safe is truly unsafe. And you feel trapped, you feel scared, you can feel shame, you can feel like, I don't even know how to let my parents in on this because how could I have found myself in this? And so I think that there's a lot of worry and anxiety and shame that's built into these dynamics.
Yeah. And so that's why at Crawford Clinics, we like to prepare parents to have the conversation ahead of time. That it is happening. Like there's dark, bad websites that kids are telling me about, young kids that they've seen, and it's just like they're learning it even at school. So they're coming from good families, supportive, loving, wonderful families, and someone else at school tells them about something, or somebody in their chat on their video game group, they tell them about something out of curiosity, they go look it up. So we found it beneficial. You inoculate your child by exposing them in advance to the concept in a very uninteresting way. So you take out the interest, the mystery, because a lot of families think if we don't talk about it, then I'll protect them. It's in society, it's in culture, it's on the internet. They are going to be exposed to it. I'm so sorry to tell you. So now you prepare them by going, hey, you're probably going to hear conversations about this. There are websites about that. Here's what you would see if you looked at that. And here's the cost of that. And I'm going to prepare you that that's going to happen so that we open the lines of communication and we talk through it. And you're not alone dealing with something that we didn't prepare you for. And so how does that look for you when you're working with families?
I think exactly like you're saying, being the foundational truth adding that to your child's life and heart before they come across it really limits or takes away from the likelihood of that becoming a dark secret space for them, right? Yeah. And so for parents to say, hey, you're going to come across this, and I want you to share about it when that does happen. Kids feel safer. Kids feel more open, like they can talk about it with their family members versus keeping it a secret.
Yeah. Like, because if your family doesn't talk about it, the implied message is we don't go there. And so then now I am exposed to it and it feels like that's taboo.
Right.
The theory of first mention is whoever brings it up first is the safest person I'm more likely to go back to. So if as a family or as a therapy clinic, as we go, hey, these things are going to happen. Here's the script. Here's what you're going to do when someone says this word or they mention that website or you see this image. You're normal. You're not bad. Your curiosity is not bad. Like the human fascination about like, what is that? That's healthy and good. But here's the boundary of why that will lead to a path of destruction. And then here is what you can do to protect yourself, to not engage, to talk to us, and for us to support you. But the key is not getting emotional. And so we've seen a lot of families historically try to do that, but they get freaked out and they are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're seeing that. And it's like their own reaction shuts down the child instead of, oh yeah, this is normal. You're not bad. It's okay. I'm not condoning it. I'm just not allowing my emotions to get so flared up that then the kid's like, oh, I better not bring that up to you. That didn't go well.
Right.
So how do you prepare families to have that conversation?
Yeah. I think that you brought up a really great step of talking about it in such a way where it doesn't feel like a polarizing, really nuanced topic, that it feels very normal.
Yeah.
Hey, you're going to come across this. Let me tell you my experience
Yeah.
of what it was like to come across that, why I want to prepare you in a better way than maybe I felt. And so taking the shame out of it. Taboo topics are hard to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But they're much easier to talk about if you have talked about them in a safe way versus a child or an adolescent coming across it already. And then you don't only have to care for their heart in caring for what they've come across, but you also have to prepare them for the future. And so it's better to talk about it in such a way that is preventative versus addressing, right?
That's right. Yeah. So now going back to roles versus identity, I think the cool thing is, you know, God can turn anything together for good. Sure. So in this generation, this is the thing your kid will be exposed to. It's not if, it is when. So the good thing is you can now create a robust sense of self proactively. And that's what I've seen Gracie be really good at. Her and her husband have been youth pastors for years and just really helping guys and girls, but your space is really the young ladies, developing a strong sense of self.
Yes.
So this is the world we live in. We can't put our head in the sand, but I can be a Wonder Woman. I can be a leader and an influencer as a female. And so when you invest properly into a young lady, even in all the stuff going on, we don't have to be woe is me. I have seen you really call women into their identity from a young age.
Thank you.
What's your story? How have you done that? What does that
Sure.
look like for you?
Absolutely. So when I was a teenager, like I said earlier, I struggled a lot with self-esteem and confidence. And I had an older girl in my church. She was in her early 20s. She came alongside me and she spoke life over me. And she made me feel like a fun person.
Aw.
When I was a teenager, I was so self-conscious and I could point out and be critical about all of the things I didn't love about myself.
Yes.
But when I felt fun around her, I thought, oh, I actually kind of like who I am.
Yeah.
And so something we even say around the clinic is therapy is the medicine, right? And change happens in relationship.
Yeah.
And that's true for therapy, but I think it's also true for an older, more wise person who counsels to come in and step in and speak life over someone. So when that happened, that was just really transformative for me. My life was really changed by this young adult speaking words of life over me. And so it's been such an honor to step in and be able to do that with other young ladies.
Yeah. And what do you think about the value of having someone even outside the parent being that? Because a lot of
Right.
times it's like, well, I want to be their person. I want to be the only person they come to. But I think sometimes there's safety in a multitude of counselors, right? So having, like, building in proactively mentors, older siblings, aunts, uncles, pastors, youth pastors, therapists, that you kind of create like a little ecosystem, especially when we know the dark side can get a rabbit trail real quick on your kid.
Right.
Really proactively surrounding them with people that have your values, that have redemptive, good sense of self and have gone through some hard things, are robust. So having that older girl that you could look up to who thought you were cool, how is that different than only having a parent say you're cool?
Yeah. Well, I think about the fact that we are made to be relational people. And so if I only had my parents speaking words of life over me, maybe I would take those words in and I would view them through maybe some chinks in the way that I view my parents or some different dynamics with them. But knowing that I saw a really healthy girl who had a healthy self-esteem speaking words of life over me, that just felt so pivotal. I think I saw, oh, you have what I desire. I want a strong sense of identity. And so how can I get that? And that just meant a lot to me.
I love that. So putting that in your world of your kids. And then how about what parents can say and the power of their words and influence?
Sure. Well, we've talked about showing your kids that you are a safe space, right? And so your kids are going to struggle. They're going to struggle with self-esteem and with confidence. And so if you can get ahead of that and be a listening ear, that's huge. If you can call out the things that you love about them. I have a client right now who has only heard her mom's harsh words of her mom wants her to be a certain way and form and mold her to a very specific thing. And that's not bad in a parent, but when your child only hears words of critique or criticism, that can feel really hard.
So let me pause you.
Sure.
Because my bias is every parent is doing their best. And most of us have blind spots where odds are good that mom had somebody do that to her. And without realizing it, her effort to protect her daughter from rejection,
Right.
from disappointment, from heartache, is causing her to mold her daughter in a way that's actually trying to protect her. I love you. I want good for you. I want to make sure that you have this good future. But we may not realize the impact. And so I just want you to take a moment as a parent. Are there motives in my heart that I'm trying so hard to fix them, correct them, make sure I have a certain outcome that I accidentally might be overreaching? And it might be sending the opposite message that I'm trying to protect you and help you in your future, and they're saying, I'm not enough because you're not sitting with me and seeing me now. You're trying to fix me and get me somewhere in the future, and it's not balanced. So, talking about college, talking about your career, all of that's great in the future, but make sure it's balanced. So I wanted to highlight what she's saying because a lot of times families are, in my opinion, absolutely doing the best that they can. Up to this point in my career, I've never met a family that's like, I'm purposely going to screw my kids over so far in my life experience. Normally, it's really good people that are trying to protect their kids from something bad. But that fear-based parenting of trying to control, and it comes across as critical, even though the heart is trying to be helpful. So you might self-reflect, your motive is good, but is it always landing? And that's where asking questions, being curious, how is the impact to my intent, and not letting my intent disqualify the child telling you the impact of what your words and your thoughts and your counsel and your facial expressions and your tone and your correcting and jumping on them, how that actually might be feeling for the child. So I'd love for you to finish that story. I just wanted to highlight it because a lot of parents listening would be like, oh, that's not me. I don't do that. And it's like, maybe all of us probably do, actually.
So I think what this client feels is that her mom is missing where she's at right now and is only looking ahead to where she could be or should be, right? And so she feels very unseen and uncared for and unheard because this is where she's at right now. That's her reality.
And so we want to give voice. We want to help her process and then disentangle that my perception of my parent might be that she's judging me and criticizing me and all of that. Odds are good if we ask the mom. Actually, mom loves her and she's wanting the best for her. And so reopening the lines of communication, and that's where sometimes it's helpful to have a mediator. And Gracie, I've seen you hold space for different opinions really well. That you don't polarize. You don't take one side and reject the other. But I've really seen you sit in spaces and go, okay, I hear this, but I can also hear this. They feel opposite, but I'm willing to recognize where there might be a bridge to reconcile rather than a lot of counselors may leave your child offended at you and you are the victim and you poor thing. And yeah, you should get this surgery or do this other life change and blah, blah, blah. And really silence the voice of a parent. And I've never seen you do that. I feel like you honor the parent so well, but you don't gang up with the parent in isolation that we're now fixing the kid into this mold that they feel very unseen and unknown. What has your journey been to help you hold space for two seemingly very opposite sides so well?
Well, I think that you've done a great job of really directing.
I did not ask her to say that, but that's what I see.
I think you've done a great job of guiding me and helping me realize, there might be a very specific kind of approach that the parent wants that the child might not need. And so it's working collaboratively with the parent and the child or the teenager to say, hey, we are getting stuff done. We are working on goals, but it might not be in the way that you thought. And so a huge part of that is building rapport with the client or the adolescent and giving them a space to be heard, especially if they're not heard outside of the therapy room.
Yeah. And what would you say to a parent who's saying, I do hear them? And you're like, but they don't feel heard. Because that can be a real rub for families. Like, I am listening. I hear you. Every word you're saying.
I think I would say remain curious and see listen to where they say that they are not feeling heard and do your best to meet them there. Even if you feel like your intentions are best and like you are doing what you need to be doing, it's not being received in that way. So seek to understand them.
And so that's the difference with restoring self-cohesion at Crawford Clinics, that we're not just trying to clear communication lines because many times it's actually an unconscious part of them that doesn't feel heard. There are so many families I've worked with that everybody's heart is good. If we separate everybody and interview them separately, you're like, yeah, your point makes sense, your point makes sense. Like all the sides, everybody is really right. But yet there's a breakdown. And that's because there's unconscious dynamics that are inherited, and those are transmission of generational patterns. And so those get passed down, and it's not in our conscious awareness. We're not even aware it's happening. But if at any point from the womb forward, the child feeling, I am not heard, I am not worth it, you don't care about me, you don't love me, I'm not worth, blah, blah, blah. That's like frozen on the inside. And then their little heart thinks, you're the one making me feel this. And because parent and child usually get the most contact with each other in somebody's life, then eventually you're going to hit that landmine and they're going to associate this feeling with your face. And so that's infuriating for families when they're like, I am hearing you. I am driving kingdom come. I'm giving you everything I know to give. Like literally. And it never is enough for you. It's not that it's not enough for them. It's that there is something deeper. And it's something from childhood, from really early on, that they probably didn't even consciously realize, and you didn't do anything wrong. Because again, at Crawford Clinics, we think family is good. We don't think parents are old, outdated, terrible monsters. We think there's a misunderstanding because of a misalignment internally. And if nobody is addressing the unconscious place where I feel misunderstood, like this young lady is perceiving her mom as criticizing her. At some level, maybe. At some level, maybe not. Maybe that's her perception because she's criticizing a part of herself and then perceiving that with anybody who would give her feedback or correction. And so we have to peel the layers back. Basic counseling doesn't teach families how to hear with ears that hear and see with eyes that see, to go deeper into the unconscious dynamics like what Gracie is trained to do, to help a family hear properly. Oh, this is the part of me that feels unseen and unknown. Let's do an internal board meeting. Let's close our eyes. Let's picture bringing this part conscious, and let's bring that into the light and heal it. And when you do, the projections, the reenactments, the intensity, and even the self-fulfilling prophecies of, let's say, the daughter, your client, maybe she's doing something that feels very scary and out of control to the mom. Or the dad or whomever, and now they're jumping on that unconsciously, trying to protect from what feels chaotic, scary, out of control in the child, and the child blames the parent without realizing this is a two-part dynamic,
Right.
and we all need to realize, man, how did my family handle that in my childhood? How am I responding to them? As the child, what am I doing that might be hooking my parent into responding how I predict that they'll respond to me? And then I prove myself right. And how do we get families unhooked is the magic of restoring self-cohesion. And what are some things that you would help families with as they're listening?
Sure. I would love to help parent-child dynamics, parent-teen dynamics. I would love to step into confidence issues and self-image and body image.
I love that. And I love how you have the young lady focus on who she is today, to be strong and fortified, resilient, because she is going to have tons of peer pressure, tons of decisions.
Sure.
And not just fall into a role like, I'm the popular girl, I'm the skinny girl, I'm the goth girl, I'm the depressed girl. You don't allow girls to stay in like these pseudo identities. It's almost like low-hanging fruit, you know, like I'm the smart girl, I'm the nice girl. You know, like, no, you have so many facets, and let's explore and discover. And it inoculates girls from just falling into a certain kind of a crowd.
Absolutely.
Or dating a certain kind of guy that wants that easy, nice girl, instead of, yeah, I'm nice, but I'm also strong. I also have boundaries, and I'm also intelligent, and I'm also very vulnerable. I'm also very nurturing. I'm also very curious and love to learn. So I love how you're willing to help a girl explore all the different facets. And we've seen self-esteem increase because it's not just, oh, what sad story did you have? How does your family treat you? But who are you? And really awakening that identity. What's your favorite part about that, and some stories you can share?
Sure. I think counseling is such a sweet spot of getting to be yourself. That's the hope in the counseling room, is that you get to be exactly who you are in that moment.
Yeah.
And so I think that honesty and transparency of getting to have somebody sit across from you and accept you in that is medicine.
Yeah,
Right?
it really is.
And so just the other day, I got to see a young lady open up about her interest in cars, old cars. And it was so sweet. I saw her just light up, and she just chatted and chatted and chatted about this interest. And I don't know anything about old cars, but I was so intrigued because she was just opening up so easily, and it was, the rapport there was really, really sweet to see being built.
Yeah. And I think that you have such a nurturing, like, you're young and you're beautiful and fun, and all of our young girls just adore you. But you also, like, who you are, you don't try too hard. You're not trying to be their best friend. You just hold like an elegance and a confidence and a quiet peace that I think, oh, you're welcome, it's genuine. And that's one of the reasons I love having you on our team, because you emulate it. You're not trying to put it on. You're not trying to build rapport. I think they see you model the way that you've grown into who you are as a woman, that you've come through your own. And so now you're kind of like that mentor. You're definitely more trained than just a mentor. But there's an element of that modeling that we've seen these girls kind of emerge into other facets of themselves, and a place of rest inside that you carry. And I just adore about you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any last thoughts or tools, techniques, anything you want to share?
I think something that could be really helpful as we are wanting young women to figure out who they are is I love the technique of journaling, and I love the idea of being creative and free in journaling. And so that's even a technique that I would want to share with parents and have parents encourage their young girls to do, is to sit down and have a space where they can be themselves even outside of the counseling room.
Yeah.
And that could give them art or words to then share with the people around them that's more than just, I'm trying to articulate how I feel, but I don't quite know how to do that.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And I love that there's ways to help people do it in expressive ways outside of just words.
Sure.
So to your point, it could be doodling.
Definitely.
It could be poetry. It could be songwriting. It could be Legos. It could be anything that helps them express externally what they're feeling internally. And then what would you say to a parent about if they're allowed to read the journal or not? It's a common question we get.
I would say if your child invites you in to read the journal, then accept that and be curious. If they have not invited you in, that is not something that you should do. So you want to honor and respect them as a person, and as a person that's feeling whatever they're feeling on the inside. That is their space, their safe space. And so, of course, if they invite you in and they want to share what they've written or what they've drawn or what they've built with their Legos, awesome.
Yes.
Enjoy that.
Yeah.
But if they have not, I don't think that you should take a look at that.
Yeah, and it really feels like betrayal. That is consistently the word that we've heard. That kids come home and they kind of figure out whether they catch you in the act or they just can tell somebody read their journal, because it is their inner world and they're trying their best to articulate it, and they might be mad at their parent and they don't need you to hear that. Right? Like, this needs to be kind of their personal space to journal and process all of that. And it would be so much healthier for it to stay locked here rather than you now carrying offense, being wounded, asking, what do you mean by that? There's so many moments that you can ask the question, and genuinely, our parents are normally, everyone who comes to our clinic, they're good parents. Like, they're doing their absolute best, and we get to just come alongside with the support, the guidance, be a safe place for the child, and then reconcile that relationship with the parent. That we don't want your kid to be in counseling forever. We want a healthy emerging sense of self and your support and relationship to be really amazing, not just in adolescence, but hopefully into your future when they're one day getting married and having kids.
Absolutely.
And we want to get through the stormy years of adolescence well. So not betraying their trust now. As a kid, you did have access to all the things in their life. As an adolescent, they're individuating. I need to have something separate from you, mom and dad. And that's not me rejecting you. That's me now starting to separate. This is me. This is you, and where do we get to choose relationship versus assuming that you get to have that. So we want to create that elegant dance to support and empower parents, but also support a healthy sense of self emerging that then they get to tell you, rather than it being pulled out of them or nagged out of them. And those kinds of dynamics, you will push them away. You may get what you want in the moment, but you're not fostering trust or a sense of individuation in your kid that they know who they are and then they want to share it.
Right.
The last thing I would say is with journaling, if your child shares something, like if it's a journal or a poem or a song, please put your phone down, turn the TV off. Do not be multitasking. If anything, say, hey, let me pause, let me finish this email, let me stop this, because I want to give you my undivided attention. If you can stop everything else and say, you're sharing your inner world, I want to. Like, so Gracie said, you're actually inviting me in to see something precious and dear. That moment is magic. Please hold it as sacred, that they are actually sharing and inviting you into something. And unfortunately, we've heard it repeatedly. Good intentioned parents are saying, I'm listening, I'm listening, keep going. But they have their phone. They have their email, they're driving, they're multitasking, instead of really, like, even if you are driving, like turning the music off and saying, wow, I want to sit with that. Like almost like a holy reverence, like, whoa, that's powerful. Or what did you feel as you were writing that? Instead of just jumping on, whatever behavior or something they just shared, how is your heart as you're sharing that? And what have you found helpful when they're journaling and they do share it that helps protect that relationship?
Sure. I think parents understanding that they're going to come across potentially vulnerable feelings or subject matter as the adolescent is sharing is really important. So preparing your heart and knowing, man, my child is sharing, and they might share something that could potentially hurt my feelings or feel hard to take in. You have to know that that's honoring that your child is inviting you into that. What a sweet space, just in order to protect the relationship there. I would really encourage parents to approach that with sensitivity and to know, man, the way that I respond in this moment is, it might really impact in a good and positive way or in a really harmful way. The way that my child either comes to me in the future and shares, or the way that they feel right now.
Yeah, exactly. And the amount of trust that I'm fostering that they can come back to me and share hard things. Like, if they did do something sexual, if they did, where they were exposed to drugs or something that morally you're like, oh man, I really wish that didn't happen. I'm grieved by that as a parent. But if in that moment you pause the correction and you immediately attend to their heart, that's when you win intimacy, connection, and trust. We're not saying don't address behavior, like if they have a friend that they consistently make bad choices with. We're not saying don't put limits. We're saying in that holy moment where they're sharing a piece of themselves, hey, in that moment when that was happening, what you're describing, how is your heart? What was going on for you? What other parts of you might have also had a reaction and you didn't have time in that moment to process? Because most of the time, parents jump to, oh my gosh, my kid's going to be in danger. They're going to have a life of decline and terrible, they're going to be a drug addict, homeless. So they jump to the behavior without realizing, hey, how's your heart in this? Were you overwhelmed? Did you have somebody just immediately ask you a question and then do something to you and you didn't even have time to think about it? You weren't even prepared for that situation. How can I, as a loved one, support you and help you pick up the pieces of something that might have shattered you? And all I have historically done, or what my family modeled to me, is to jump on you instead of really create space for healing, for repair, reconciliation, and then later deal with safeguards and boundaries for the child to make good choices in the future. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Of course.
And I love that you are just willing to meet people wherever they're at. And so that's been something super sweet. And I love your work in meeting these sweet girls and then also helping them develop their strength and these other sides so that it's matched and they have good boundaries and they're able to navigate peer pressure. So I just adore you, Gracie. I'm so glad you're a part of our team. And we pray that as parents, you feel equipped and ready to navigate the adolescent season. And if you're needing a therapist to help your daughter from, what do you say, 10, 12? Yeah.
All the way up until early 20s.
Early 20s. She is really gifted at helping young women turn into confident adult women who are ready to accomplish their goals in life. Thanks, guys. See you for the next episode.